Today, let's talk about what to do if you have a fish coming in hot, come look at your bait, and then take off almost just as hot away in the opposite direction. So we're gonna look at 3 different baits that I use and how I utilize them to try to get those fish from swerving to in the live well. Coming up next. We all know if you ain't scoping, you hoping. That's kind of the motto my boat fishes by. Hey guys, welcome back. We've all been swerved before. I hate it. When those fish come in hot, you think they're gonna eat your minnow, and all of a sudden they blend with the bait on Livescope, and then just as fast they turn and tear off in the opposite direction. There's 3 things that you can do, and there's no rule of thumb really when one works better than the other, but I wanna tell you the 3 options that I reach for. I always have them on the deck. At least 1 or 2 of them are there all the time. And if I get a swerve from a fish, they come up, they look at it, and they're gone really quickly. These are the 3 things that I like to utilize. First thing I like to utilize is a big worm. I used to use the Magnum hit worm. It's a max scent bait. I really like it, but honestly, I've always wanted something a little bigger. I feel like a big worm on a neko rig is what helps me get bit. So I used to use the hit worm. Now I just got these. They're in the Mimizu color. They're the Powerbait Max Scent Power Wag. It's a 9-inch bait. This thing is huge, and that's what I was looking for. I wanted a worm that if I see those fish, and maybe they don't disappear on the bottom. They swerve me, they start going away from me, but I can still locate them. Maybe they're deeper than they were before, but I can still see them. I love to throw a big neko worm. I don't throw anything tiny. The mag hit worm from Max Scent is the smallest neko worm I really throw. I used to throw smaller ones, and to be honest, I found them to be pretty ineffective. They just didn't work for me. It didn't matter if I was fishing spotted bass, smallmouth, or largemouth. The big worm, if you're gonna get bit on a neko rig, the big worm is the way to go. So when I saw the Power Wag was 2 inches longer than the Magnum hit worm, I had to grab it. So I grabbed it in green pumpkin, and I grabbed them in Mimizu, and these things will be utilized basically as soon as I run out of my Magnum hit worms, and we all know mag hit worms are hard to find. As soon as I run out of them, I'll be really supplementing or going full time, not supplementing, the Power Wag. I think that's gonna be the ticket. So that's technique number 1. If I can still see that fish, maybe they're deeper in the water column, but I can still kind of locate them, I'm gonna pull out that neko worm, pitch to them with a 1/16 ounce neko nail weight in it, and try to hit those fish on the head. And usually a big worm, as long as you can still see them on the screen, is a really good technique to try to get those fish to eat. All right, what do I do if I lose those fish on the bottom? So I have a fish, he comes up hot, he swerves my 5, 6, 7-inch minnow, and he takes off and I lose him on the bottom. What am I gonna do? Well, if it's a really rocky bottom, I wanna throw a bait at him that I believe is gonna hover in the water column for a long time. I've basically lost that fish, but I still have an idea of where he is, especially if I see on 360 that there's kind of a general rock pile or something around where he went that might get him to hold there and hide a little. So I wanna throw a bait that's gonna hang in the water column for a while, and what I do is I throw an 1/8 ounce minnow. This is the Hover Minnow from Great Lakes Finesse. It's in a matte 309 color. This is pretty much the only color I throw in the Northeast. And then I throw 1 color in the South. I just need some kind of a shiner, dark backed color. But I throw this on an 1/8 ounce with a number 1 size tungsten hook. And what I like to do is I kind of jam this, the nose of that hook or the nose of that bait on that jig head. I kind of like it scrunched up there. I feel like that helps these wings that are on the bottom of the hover rig. I feel like that helps it grab even more water. So this thing, as its spiral falls, it hangs in the water column for a long time. And that fish oftentimes will come up a couple feet off the bottom before this thing actually settles, and he'll come over and eat it. Usually I get a lot of strikes fishing the hover rig, and it isn't just a smallmouth bait. This thing works phenomenally for largemouth too, but it works best when you lose them on the bottom and they're hiding around cover, especially bouldery or very rocky cover. I haven't tried it a whole lot on the Tennessee River on shell bars, but I bet this would be an awesome thing if you're live scoping over a shell bed as well. So if you get swerved, this is technique number 2 to try, the Great Lakes Finesse Hover Minnow on a number 1 sized hook with an 1/8 ounce jig head. Lastly, let's talk about my favorite technique to use when I get swerved, and that's the 7-inch Z2 from Strike King. I use it in the Tennessee Shad color. It's the only color I own in this bait. But this is another bait that I like to use whether I lose them on the bottom or not. If I get swerved very fast, this is something that I reach for almost exclusively the first time I get swerved in a day. This is my go-to the first time to see if it works. And the reason I use this bait specifically, it's just on an 1/8 ounce hook. I use it on a pretty short jig head. I don't like that hook to be too long. What I like to do is I like to cast it out and leave it sink completely to the bottom on an extremely slack line. And I will usually leave this bait sit for up to 2 minutes. This is when you set the rod down and you go grab a sandwich, or you reach into your pocket and check your phone really quick to make sure your mother didn't text you. This is a bait that it takes time to get bit because we're using this Elastec plastic. What it does is it will float up, and that forked tail on the Z2 will start to kind of dance in the current a little bit. All right? This is an extremely effective technique for me. Most of the time when I'm scoping, I am scoping over harder bottoms. I live in the Northeast. When I go to Gunnersville, I'm always targeting, shell beds and places that have a hard spot on the bottom. I feel like hold fish really good on Tennessee River fisheries. This isn't something that I necessarily do around brush if I'm in the mountains in North Georgia or Western North Carolina. This isn't something that I do there. It's not something that I really do in Texas. In Texas, I'm always grabbing for the big worm like we looked at first. But most of the time on the fisheries that I fish, clearer water, places where fish will come up really far to eat a bait and then go back down really far to run away if they decide not to eat it. This just happens to be my go-to. Now, it won't be the go-to for the majority of you guys watching. Maybe it will, but probably it won't. You guys are going to lean more towards the worm first, the hover minnow second, and then probably this third. But for me, it's a little more in reverse. I use this one first. This is the first one I'm going to pull out almost all the time because of the clear water, because of the hard bottoms that I'm fishing. I just leave it sit, and I'll leave it sit up to 2 minutes. So check your phones. Check in with your mother if you need to. But they will come over and eat this thing like it's an oversized Ned rig. Okay? It'll just sit there. They will see it fall. They will come over, but usually they don't run right over on the bottom to investigate. They might go around, they might circle this rock pile or hard spot that they're on. It may take them a bunch of time to get there. So give it 90 seconds, 2 minutes before you start pulling this thing back in. Don't fish it, don't work it, let the elastomer do its thing. That's what it's made for. There's no rule of thumb for what to do if you guys are out there and fish starts swerving your minnow. You could always change your minnow. You could go to a heavier head. You could go to a lighter head and hover it over their face longer. It's hard to read exactly what to do. It really, I know everybody hates to hear pros say this, but even though I'm not a pro, I'll say it to you. It takes time on the water, and to break that statement down even more, what that means is you need to be fishing in the conditions a few days prior. Use the knowledge from 3, 4, 5, 6 days ago. What was happening to you then? use that info to apply to what is happening to you in the moment, okay? Things that work 3, 4, 5 days ago generally are good information for what's going to work for you today. But you can't take over a week off from fishing and then all of a sudden know that option 1, 2, or 3 is going to be better. It just takes being out there in those conditions at that time of the year with that water clarity on that body of water to really understand what option is going to be best for you on that given day. All right, so we'll see you guys out on the water again soon. Hopefully these couple of tips kind of help give you some more options as you're gearing up for a pretty awesome summertime season. It's going to be a good year, 2026. We'll see you guys out there. We got him. Oh, and it's a dandy. I'm Joe LaBarbera, and welcome to the Outer Realm.